No, I'm not going to try to talk you out of camping on your next motorcycle trip. That's not what this video is about. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Two-Wheeled Rider YouTube channel. My name is Mario Orsini, and those of you that have been following the channel, at least for any period of time, know I travel all over the place on my motorcycle, and I'm always staying in hotels, or maybe at a friend's place, but normally at hotels. You've never seen me camp because aside from being at the racetrack, staying in my toy hauler, I don't camp. I have nothing against it, and today's video is not about hotels being better than camping or vice versa. Today's video is to share some tips, tricks, and hacks of how I get that lodging bill lower while still staying at the types of places I like to stay at. The reason for the video is I've gotten comments from you guys, I've gotten emails, I've gotten private messages. Some of you even talked to me in person about, how can I lower my lodging bill when I'm traveling on my motorcycle? The other thing I found out that was interesting, I thought most everybody was camping because they like to camp. What I have found out, I don't know what percentage, but quite a few of you that have reached out to me, I found out you're camping because you can't afford to stay at hotels every night. And I'm not saying I'm gonna fix that, but hopefully in today's video, I'm able to provide you some information to lower that hotel bill. So first thing I wanna do is start out with some of the pros at staying at hotels. Again, I'm not saying this makes them better or worse than any other sort of lodging, but some of the pros. Number one, no upfront costs. You don't need any sort of camping gear or anything, of that nature up front. So no upfront costs. Number two, less gear to carry. You guys know, my space on my bike's at a premium because I'm constantly filming. So I've got GoPros and extra batteries and chargers and the camera I'm filming on now and the drone and all that stuff. So I like to still travel as light as possible. Not having that extra gear on there is beneficial. Also, if you're doing a lot of adventure riding, you guys know as well as I do, the lighter the bike is, the easier time you're going to have riding it off-road. So, like I said, no gear to carry. Number three, longer ride days. If you know you're staying at a hotel that night, I'm not a proponent of riding late into the night. I normally like to get in town a little early, but there have been times where I've pushed it because I've decided to spend more time in an area. And I know if I don't roll in till 7, 8, 9 o'clock, it's fine. Hotel's there. There's going to be somebody there at the front desk that's going to check me in, and everything's fine. But if you're camping, you probably need to get in a little bit earlier unless you want to, be tearing down or setting up your camp in the dark, or, also you might want to take off early in the morning, and it's a little bit harder to tear down that campsite, in the early morning hours when it's still dark out than if it was light out. So I can get an earlier start by staying at a hotel some mornings if I want to, because I just pack my stuff up in the room and load it on the bike. So the other thing about that is, if there's rain coming or bad weather or whatever, you may have to get off a little bit earlier to get your campsite set up, where if you're willing to ride through the rain and you're wearing waterproof gear, you can show up at the hotel whenever you want and just walk on in. So longer ride days. The other thing about longer ride days, I find I get a great night's sleep, and it's pretty consistent at a hotel, and that allows me to ride longer because I'm rested each night, and I'm rested when I wake up, the next morning. So number four, saves time. And what I mean by that is I don't typically plan everything out ahead of time. Like, I know about what town I'm going to end up in, and then by lunchtime, I pull out my trusty iPhone and I book my room, and I'm good to go. The other thing it saves time is actually planning the trip. I don't have to plan around campsites and those sorts of things, because if I'm coming to, some sort of town, I'm able to look on Google quickly when I'm planning my trip and find out, all right, there's 7, 8 hotels there, something will be available. And if it's not, I know what the next town is or the town before that, and typically there's going to be a hotel available for me. I'm going to mention Airbnb and Vrbo. We've used those in the past, not necessarily on motorcycle. Well, we've done it on motorcycle trips, but not motorcycle riding trips. Brian and I used a Vrbo when we were down in Costa Rica. Those are great options. So's Airbnb. But again, from a time-saving standpoint and just a convenience standpoint, it's easier for me to book a hotel versus, an Airbnb. Now, that being said, if you were going to stay in a town for multiple days, that's probably a great option that's going to save you a lot of money and give you a bigger space, and you can probably get some additional friends in there with you, that sort of thing. But for me, Most of the time, I'm in a town for a night, and then I'm back on the road again the next day, and I'm in another town the next night. So definitely save some time, booking hotels. Number 5, safety and security. And that's not to say camping or Airbnb or Verbos aren't safe. I'm not saying that at all. But you do have a locking door. Most of the time, the hotels will have a safe or something in there if you need to lock something up. You can take stuff off your bike, lock it in your hotel room. And then, most hotels are going to have great lighting. They're going to have, we'll say a police presence around there somewhere. They might have a security guard, depending on what type it is. Sometimes they'll let you park under the awning, under the lights. So just overall safety and security for yourself, but also your gear and your bike. Number 6, and I kind of touched on this earlier, comfort, good night's sleep, pretty consistent. You have climate control in the room. You don't have to worry about, it being too hot, being too cold. Hopefully there's not bugs and stuff in there. Number 7, and this one, may or may not be useful to you, but sometimes I wear like Under Armour underneath my riding gear, so my riding gear doesn't get all stinky, but it needs to be washed every couple of days. Sink and a bar of soap or a little bit of detergent in the sink. You can wash up your underwear, socks, liners, those sorts of things pretty easily in your hotel room, no additional cost. The ability to charge your electronics, obviously, more and more hotels now are having USB ports and plenty of charging options in the room. So if you're running headsets or you're like me and you bring a lot of cameras and those sorts of things along, it gives you the opportunity at the end of the day to get those charged up for your next day's ride. Convenience. Most of the time, I try to get somewhere at a hotel where I'm walking distance to a restaurant. Typically, the gas station's real close by, so whether you want to fill up when you get into town that night or before you take off the next morning, usually a convenience store. Sometimes there's I say shopping mall, but like, some sort of, outdoor shopping area, strip mall, those sorts of things. If you need some supplies or something you forgot along the way, makes it real nice. You can kind of walk around in the evening. You don't necessarily have to get on the bike. Number 10, free breakfast. That's going to vary depending on where you stay, but a lot of places do offer free breakfast, and some of them are actually pretty nice spreads. And then number 11, we're just going to call it additional amenities, things like gyms. If you want to work out, and which we've done a decent amount on trips, try to get a workout in, maybe not as consistently as I do back home, but try to get a workout in while you're out on the road. I got stuff like pools, laundry service, which is awesome because I only pack enough clothes typically for like 4 or 5 days. And then I'm doing laundry every 4 or 5 days on a trip. So when you're out for a couple of weeks, knowing they've got that laundry service there on site, go get yourself some quarters at the front desk and get yourself some fresh clothes. Cons. There's only 2 cons, but one of them's kind of big. Con number 1, it's going to cost you more money. I mean, that's all there is to it. It will cost more money. And then number 2, it's not for everybody. Like I said, some people like to camp. Some of you are going to want to stay at Airbnb. Some of you are going to want to couch surf. That's fine. It's not for everybody. Next thing I'm going to do is go down through and kind of go through like in no particular order, but just ways you can save money staying at hotels. Now, the easiest way is just don't stay at a hotel. But if you're staying at hotels, I want to go over ways you guys can save money. So, number 1, travel with someone else. Now, you guys have noticed on the last 2 big cross-country trips, my sister's come along. That's been awesome. She's had a blast. I've had a great time riding with her. But one of the benefits to having her along or riding, with another buddy or whatever, you literally just cut your lodging bill in half. So if that room was $120, now all of a sudden it's $60. So huge savings. We did that on the MABDR trip. Brian and I, split a hotel room each night. He always likes to be the little spoon, which is weird because he's a lot bigger than I am. But we did that, me, Pete, and Brian one night. We were able to get a suite for cheaper than what it would have cost us each to get a hotel room. I say each. There were 3 of us at that point in time. I think we got a suite for like $130, split it 3 ways. Had a huge space, 2 beds, pull-out couch, all that sort of thing. So if you're traveling with someone else, that is the best way to lower your hotel bill. I will say some other things. Like you could stay at a Residence Inn or hotels like that are like longer stay. Typically you can get like 2 bedroom, 2 bath, kitchen area, living room area. You're splitting that up amongst 4 or 5 buddies. Man, it actually becomes really, really affordable. So way to save money number 1 is travel with someone else. Number 2, use apps, use websites. whether you're using things like Expedia. I know over in Europe, Booking.com is huge. Here in the United States, I know, and I use it too. I know a lot of my friends use Hotels.com. It's pretty cool. They've got just about every property imaginable on there, and every 10 nights you stay, you get a free night. So what they do is they total up those 10 nights, divide it by 10, whatever that dollar figure is. So let's say it's $120, you get a $120 credit towards your next stay. I will say this, if you stay at a $100 hotel and it was $120, you don't get to keep that $20 extra. So it's usually good to try to use it all up, or maybe go above and you get yourself a really nice room and it costs you $5 for the night. So that's pretty cool. Using things like that. They will have on hotels.com, they'll have like special rates that pop up on there. I've gotten some really good deals where rooms normally like Jackson Hole, it'll run you like upper threes, $400 a night. We're able to get them down below $200, those sorts of things. So there will be specials on there. So use those to your advantage. Another way to save money on lodging while you're traveling, try to limit your weekend and holiday travel. Now, I'm not telling you not to travel on the weekends, but typically speaking, hotel rooms are going to cost more on the weekend than they are during the week. Holiday travel, a lot of us will do it because you get that extended weekend. What I'm going to tell you about that is just watch where you're going. Like, you don't want to go to the beach on Memorial Day weekend. That room's going to cost you 2 to 3 times the amount it did, the previous week. So just watch those sorts of things. Watch where you're going. If you're going somewhere where there is a big event going on, maybe look for a town over or ride past it or stop a little short or whatever, because typically if there is a big event in town, the hotels are going to raise their prices. So just keep an eye out on that. That is a way to save some money pretty quickly. Tip number 4, check your current credit cards or association memberships for discounts or benefits. So association memberships could be things like the American Motorcyclists Association. It could be the AARP. It could be a lot of different things. Moose Lodge, I don't know what everybody's got out there, but lots of times there will be some sort of hotel discounts and those sorts of things built in. Credit cards, I've been carrying the American Express Platinum for years now. This is not a cheap card to have, but since I travel a lot, both for work and personal and motorcycle trips, it pays for itself, tenfold each year. Some cool things about it, and this is why I'm telling you guys to check out your credit cards, because your credit cards may already offer some of these benefits or similar benefits. I get automatic Hilton Honors Gold status with my Amex card. I get automatic Marriott Bonvoy Gold Elite status. I get $200 in Uber cash a year. Now it's kind of split up monthly, but that's kind of nice if you're staying somewhere and you want to ride downtown, but you don't actually want to ride. Maybe you want to go get a couple of bourbons and you need a ride back and you want to be safe. That Uber cash is nice to have. While not hotel specific, some other things that card offers is if you're rental cars, I get Avis Preferred Plus, Hertz Gold Plus rewards, and National Emerald Club Executive. Something else, check out, depending on what kind of, what you do for a living, a lot of larger companies do have different sorts of discount plans and benefits for employees, so be sure to check that out too. That might be a way to get some discounts on your lodging. Tip number 5, sign up for the hotel rewards programs. They're free, at least for the basic, rewards programs. And they're all a little bit different, but the way they basically work is you have a point system, and then there are different tiers and levels as you work your way up. So you may get however many points for, per dollar that you spend at that hotel chain. And then as you work your way up and you stay at that hotel chain more often, you may get bonus points on top of that. And as you build these points up, basically you just cash them in for discounts or free night stays. There's some additional benefits with some of these rewards programs. Again, they're all a little bit different, but there's things like free room upgrades, late checkout. Most places come with free Wi-Fi, but some of them will have enhanced Wi-Fi that's faster, and they'll give you that for free if you're a member. Also, you might get food and meal credits depending on the type of place you're staying at. And I'm not just talking like the free breakfast the next morning. If they got a restaurant or something inside, lots of times they'll comp you a meal, those sorts of things. They'll also send you out additional promotions throughout the year. It might include bonus points, discounted rooms, those sorts of things. Again, they're free to sign up for, so you'd be silly not to sign up for them. I will give you one word of caution. if you do sign up for, we'll say, Best Western, and then you book it through hotels.com, you're not going to get those points. You'll have to book it through, the hotel chain itself. So just something to be aware of. Some of the major chains. So you got to figure out which ones it is you like to stay at, and then find out what group they're a part of. Now, it might be you like to stay at them because they're really nice, but you might also look at it and go, yeah, but they're on the pricey side. So find the ones that are going to work within your budget. And I'm going to flash some graphics up on the screen as I'm talking, but some of the major chains, you've got Best Western, which includes obviously Best Western Plus. It also includes the more budget-minded Sure Stay properties. You have Choice Hotels, which includes places like Comfort Inn, Sleep Inn, Clare Inn, Quality Inn, Econo Lodge. You have Hilton. Obviously, Hilton's included in there. Also, one of my favorite hotels, Hampton Inn. They just seem to be the most consistent hotel quality-wise that I stay at year in and year out. You've got the Hilton Garden Inn, you've got the DoubleTree, and then you've got True, which is kind of their budget-friendly hotel. Rooms aren't quite as big, but they're nice, and we're seeing some more of those pop up around my area now. You have IHG. There's quite a few in there, but the big ones are Holiday Inn and Holiday Inn Express. You have Marriott. That includes places like Courtyard, Spring Hill Suites, Fairfield, Aloft, Residence Inn, which I mentioned earlier. And then you have Wyndham. That includes La Quinta, Wyndham Garden, Microtel, Days Inn, Super 8, all places I've stayed at before, all nice places. So as you sign up for these rewards programs, don't just use them on your motorcycle trip. So let's say you decide Hilton's where I like to stay. Like, I always like to stay at Hampton Inns. Use those on family travel. If you and your family are going on vacation somewhere, try to stay at one of those properties. That's going to build up your points that then you can turn around and use to cash in on your next motorcycle trip. Also, if you travel for work, I'm probably on the road or, at least 24 nights a year for work. While I have to use my corporate credit card, I do get to keep the points that I earn. So I try to stay at Marriott properties because that's what I like to use. I'm going to get into more of that here in a minute. But I try to stay at the Marriott properties. That builds up more points. I have to travel for work anyway. I might as well get the points that I can then turn around and use on my upcoming motorcycle trips. So you've signed up for the points. You've kind of, again, sign up for all of them, but then try to key in on one. That's the only way to really build it up. If you would like to supercharge your points, you can sign up for a rewards credit card. Now, I'm not giving you guys financial advice on this. If you're a student of Dave Ramsey and the Total Money Makeover, just keep your comments to yourself. I pay my balance off every month. And honestly, if you're traveling around a lot and you are staying at hotels, I don't think using a debit card is a smart idea because they'll put a hold on it. Now, if you're staying there for a week, probably not a big deal. But if you're like me and you're at a new place every night, that hold usually doesn't come off for 24, 48 hours, sometimes a little bit longer, especially over the weekends. And if it's attached to your bank account and all of a sudden you got $600, $700 in holds on there and you don't have any money left in your account, probably not a good idea. So using a credit card is definitely something I would recommend if you're staying at hotels traveling. So the other cool thing about, so if you sign up for one of their cards, so Brian and I both use, this is not a paid endorsement, we both use the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card. So what's cool about this is you can build hotel rewards points with your everyday spending. In the case of this card, every dollar I spend, I get 2 points back towards Marriott. What's really cool about it is every Marriott property I book, I get 6 times points back on the card that goes directly into my my Marriott rewards account. Lots of times they're going to have a big sign-on bonus, and typically there's some financial criteria attached to that, like spend $3,000 in the first 90 days or whatever, and they'll give you 100,000 points. Don't quote me on that because everybody's got a different deal. But it is kind of cool to get that big bonus there at the beginning. Big thing is, don't go out and spend money on the credit card just to build up points. Just put your everyday purchases on there that you were going to spend your money on anyway, and then get that benefit of having those additional points. Now, the card I just showed you guys, there is a $95 annual fee on it. A lot of them will have an annual fee, but in the case of Marriott, I get a free night each year. So most of the time, a room's going to run me like $120, I paid $95 for the annual fee, so it's actually like I'm saving money with the annual fee, if you see how I did the math there. So anyway, if you want more information on the rewards programs, and then if there are credit cards attached to them that can even supercharge you saving up the points, go over and check out places like nerdwallet.com. They give you a very good breakdown. Also, the pointsguide.com is one of my favorite websites, and they're constantly updating them as the programs change, as the criteria changes, as the perks change. It normally has really up-to-date information. I'm going to throw a chart up on the screen from NerdWallet right now. They've kind of crunched the numbers so you can see, what each point is worth dollar-wise for each of the hotel chains. Take that for what it's worth. It's going to vary over time, but they've done that. So next thing we're going to do is hop into my computer, and I'm going to give you a real life recent example about how these rewards actually work. So let's hop over. All right, so if we take a look at the screen here, I've kind of put a little slide deck together. Like I said, this is a real life example. And again, I'm going to explain how the Marriott Bonvoy points work. It's going to be similar with other hotel chains. So December 14th, 2021, Danielle and I stayed in Charleston, South Carolina. So we stayed one night at the Spring Hill Suites. If you've been to Charleston, you know everything down there is expensive. So the total with taxes was $239.39, while the room rate was only $208. So, $30-some in taxes. Something to be aware of here is this was not a motorcycle trip. So, I'm actually doing what I say I do. Is even when I'm traveling for other types of travel, whether it's personal or business, I try to stay at these types of properties and maximize my points. So to kind of better explain the points a little bit, Bonvoy has their different levels. So if you're just a member, so all you did is sign up for it, you didn't have to do anything else, you're going to get 10 times points back on each dollar you spend. If you're silver level, you get 10% bonus and 25% gold, and so on and so on. So for mine stay, this is a breakdown of what the points would look like for the different levels. So if you're a member, you're going to get 10 times points. Now that goes off of the room rate, not the total dollar value. So obviously taxes aren't included. So for a member, you'd earn 2,080 points. Using the 0.7 cents that NerdWallet uses, your value is $14.56. So you effectively saved about 6%. Now I highlighted gold because that is my current status with Marriott. So my effective savings rate was 7.6%. Obviously, if you're up at titanium, you're saving a little over 10%. Now, they were running a special during that month where I got an additional 1,750 bonus points. So when we factor those in at the member rate, you'd be saving $26.81, so 11.2%, or at my status, which is gold, I saved a little over $30, which is effectively 12.7%. Now, I showed you guys that I have one of the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless cards. So, that goes off of the total charge, not just the room rate. So I got 6 times points for basically the $240. So now all of a sudden, if you look at my points at the gold status, I'm up to 5,787 points, which is a little over $40 or $40.50. So my effective savings rate is almost 17% off. And when I say off, obviously I take these points and put them in to another night's stay. So essentially I am saving 17% once I cash them back in. Now, I did do the calculations here with no bonus points. It still would have been 11.8%, which is still pretty good. And then on this last chart, because I've mentioned Hotels.com a few times, I kind of wanted to show you where they stack up. So if there was no bonus points and I did not use my Marriott credit card, and we look at the standard, I would have been better off using Hotels.com because I'm going to save 10%. And even at my gold status, it was only 7.6. But that is the only time Hotels.com would have saved more money. Just with that bonus, that put Hotels.com at the lowest. Obviously, the bonus plus the card, much lower. And then no bonus and in the card, it was still a better savings, even for just a basic membership, than it was using Hotels.com. So anyway, that's a real life breakdown on one of my most recent hotel stays. So hopefully that breakdown in that slide deck kind of showed you how things work with those rewards programs. So those are some of the methods I use to help lower my lodging costs when I'm traveling on my motorcycle. Could I lower them even more? Yeah, sure, I could, but my motorcycle trips are my vacations, and my time out riding is far more important to me than, you know, saving a few dollars. That said, lodging is my biggest expense, so by using some of these, you know, tips, tricks, things I outlined earlier, you know, using some of these hacks, I've saved a significant amount of money, you know, using these things on my trips. You're not necessarily going to use everything I outlined, but hopefully you guys found something useful in today's video. And if you have your own tips, tricks, and hacks, be sure to comment down below. And be sure to check out the comments below, because I know we've got some well-versed travelers that follow along with this channel, and they probably know some stuff I don't know of. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you like motorcycles, well, this is the place to be. If you have any questions about any of the stuff I went over in today's video, and I will put some links down in the description below to some of the websites and stuff I mentioned, please let me know. I will do my best to answer them. And as always, I'll talk to you again soon.